Longitudinal design. A longitudinal study follows the same sample over time and makes repeated observations. Measurements are taken on each variable over 2 or more distinct periods. This allows the researcher to measure a change in variables over time. It is a type of observational study sometimes referred to as a panel study. Meta-analysis design. Meta-analysis is an analytical methodology designed to systematically evaluate and summarize the results from several individual studies, thereby increasing the overall sample size and the ability of the researcher to study the effects of interest. The purpose is to not simply summarize existing knowledge but to develop a new understanding of a research problem using synoptic reasoning. The main objective is to analyze differences in the results among studies and increase the precision by which effects are estimated. Mixed method design. Mixed methods research represents more of an approach to examining a research problem than a methodology. For problems that require 1. An examination of real-life contextual understandings, multi-level perspectives, and cultural influences. 2. An intentional application of rigorous quantitative research assessing the magnitude and frequency of constructs and rigorous qualitative research exploring the meaning and understanding of the constructs. And 3. An objective of drawing on the strengths of quantitative and qualitative data gathering techniques to formulate a holistic interpretive framework for generating possible solutions or new understandings of the problem. Tashakori and Cresswell, 2007, and other proponents of mixed methods argue that the design encompasses more than simply combining qualitative and quantitative methods but, rather, reflects a new third-way epistemological paradigm that occupies the conceptual space between positivism and interpretivism. Observational design. This type of research design concludes by comparing subjects against a control group, in cases where the researcher has no control over the experiment. There are two general types of observational designs. Direct observations are people know that you are watching them. B. Unobtrusive measures involve any method for studying behavior where individuals do not know they are being observed. Philosophical design. Understood more as a broad approach to examining a research problem than a methodological design, philosophical analysis and argumentation are intended to challenge deeply embedded, often intractable, assumptions underpinning an area of study. This approach uses the tools of argumentation derived from philosophical traditions, concepts, models, and theories to critically explore and challenge, for example, the relevance of logic and evidence in academic debates, to analyze arguments about fundamental issues, or to discuss the root of existing discourse about a research problem. These overarching tools of analysis can be framed in three ways. Ontology, the study that describes the nature of reality, for example, what is real and what is not, what is fundamental and what is derivative. Epistemology, the study that explores the nature of knowledge, for example, by what means do knowledge and understanding depend and how can we be certain of what we know. Axiology, the study of values, for example, what values does an individual or group hold and why? How are values related to interest, desire, will, experience, and means to end? And, what is the difference between a matter of fact and a matter of value? Sequential design. Sequential research is that which is carried out in a deliberate, staged approach, i.e. serially, where one stage will be completed, followed by another, then another, and so on, with the aim that each stage will build upon the previous one until enough data is gathered over an interval of time to test your hypothesis. The sample size is not predetermined. After each sample is analyzed, the researcher can accept the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis, or select another pool of subjects and conduct the study once again. This means the researcher can obtain a limitless number of subjects before making a final decision on whether to accept the null or alternative hypothesis. Using a quantitative framework, a sequential study generally utilizes sampling techniques to gather data and apply statistical methods to analyze the data. Using a qualitative framework, sequential studies generally utilize samples of individuals or groups of individuals, cohorts, and use qualitative methods, such as interviews or observations, to gather information from each sample. Systematic review, as noted by Denyer and Tranfield, 2009, a systematic review is a specific methodology that identifies existing research about a well-defined topic of investigation, usually derived from a public policy or clinical, practice-based problem. The design involves selecting and critically evaluating the contributions of each identified study, analyzing and carefully synthesizing the data, and reporting the evidence in a way that facilitates clear conclusions about what is and is not known. A systematic review is not a traditional literature review, but a self-contained research project that explores a clearly defined research problem using existing studies. The design of a systematic review differs from other review methods because distinct and exacting principles are applied to the evaluative process of analyzing existing literature. Design flaws to avoid: lack of specificity, poorly defined research problem, significance, relationship between past research and your study, contribution to the field, provincialism, objectives, hypotheses, or questions, poor methodological approach, proximity sampling, techniques or instruments, statistical treatment, vocabulary, ethical dilemmas, limitations of study. All studies have limitations. Your research design should anticipate and explain the reasons why these limitations exist and clearly describe the extent of missing data. Choosing a research problem. How to begin. There are generally 3 ways you are asked to write about a research problem. 1. Your professor provides you with a general topic. 2. Your professor provides you with a list of possible topics to study and you choose a topic from that list. Or 3. Your professor leaves it up to you to choose a topic. Importance of narrowing the research topic. Whether you are assigned a general issue to investigate, must choose a problem to study from a list given to you by your professor, or have to identify your topic to investigate, the scope of the research problem mustn't be too broad, otherwise, it will be very difficult to adequately address the topic in the space and time allowed. Here are some strategies to help narrow your topic. Aspect. Choose one lens through which to view the research problem, or look at just one facet of it. For example, rather than studying the role of food in South Asian religious rituals, study the role of food in Hindu ceremonies, or the role of one particular type of food among several religions. Components. Determine if your initial variable or unit of analysis can be broken into smaller parts, which can then be analyzed more precisely. Methodology. How you gather information can reduce the domain of interpretive analysis needed to address the research problem. Place. Generally, the smaller the geographic unit of analysis, the more narrow the focus. For example, rather than study trade relations in West Africa, study trade relations between Niger and Cameroon as a case study that helps to explain economic problems in the region. Relationship. Ask yourself how 2 or more different perspectives or variables relate to one another. Time. The shorter the period of the study, the more narrow the focus. Type. Focus your topic in terms of a specific type or class of people, places, or phenomena. Combination. Use 2 or more of the above strategies to focus your topic more narrowly. Academic writing style. Academic writing refers to a style of expression that researchers use to define the intellectual boundaries of their disciplines and specific areas of expertise. It includes a formal tone, the use of the third person, usually, a clear focus on the research problem under investigation, and precise word choice.